All right, if you're gearing up for an AWS certification, you know there are some data services you just have to get your head around. And today, we're diving deep into one of the big ones, AWS Glue. So let's just jump right in.
So let's kick things off with a problem that pretty much every architect runs into. You've got data coming at you from all over the place, right? S3 buckets, databases, you name it. It's messy, it's unstructured. Basically, it's a data swamp. So the big question is, how do you tame that beast and turn it into something useful, like a clean data lake for analytics or ML?
Well, you guessed it. That's where our star for today comes into play. In the AWS world, the answer to that problem is a really powerful, fully managed service called AWS Glue. It was built from the ground up to solve exactly this kind of data integration mess.
Okay, so what is AWS Glue at its heart? It's a serverless data integration service. And you know what? That word, serverless, I really need you to lock that one away. For the exam, it's probably the most important thing to remember about Glue's architecture. It means no servers to set up, no infrastructure to patch or manage. You get to focus on what actually matters, the data itself. And that's exactly what we want, right?
So how does this thing actually work its magic? Well, we're going to break Glue down into its three main parts. Once you see how these pieces click together, you'll have a really solid handle on this service, not just for the exam, but for building real solutions.
To make this all super easy to remember, let's use an analogy. Just imagine all your data is like a gigantic, chaotic library filled with books scattered everywhere. I mean, before you can find anything useful, you need a system, right? You need a card catalog that tells you what you have and exactly where to find it.
And that card catalog, in the world of AWS Glue, is the data catalog. This thing is the persistent central library for all of your metadata. It really is the foundation that everything else in Glue is built on.
Now lean in for this next part, because it's a huge clue for exam questions. See that phrase, "in the same way you would in an Apache Hive metastore"? That is so important. It means the Glue data catalog is Hive compatible. And that means it can talk to this massive world of big data tools like Athena, EMR, and Redshift Spectrum that were all built to work with Hive. It's instant compatibility.
So let's be super clear. The data catalog doesn't actually hold your data. No, it just holds the metadata, the information about your data. So things like the schema, the table definitions, where it lives. And this is what allows other powerhouse services like Amazon Athena or Redshift Spectrum to query your data right where it sits, say in an S3 bucket, because the data catalog acts like a map, telling them exactly what that data looks like.
Okay, so we've got our card catalog ready to go. But how do we fill it up? I mean, you could enter everything by hand, but who has time for that? It'd be super tedious. Instead, Glue gives us these amazing automated librarians to do all the heavy lifting. And these are called crawlers.
A crawler is pretty much pure magic. You just point it at your data, let's say an S3 bucket, and you set it loose. It automatically goes in, scans the data, figures out the schema on its own, like what are the columns, what are the data types, and then bam, it creates or updates the tables in your data catalog for you. It's automation at its absolute best.
And these crawlers are incredibly versatile. You can see here they don't just work with S3. They can connect to your regular relational databases using JDBC, NoSQL databases like DynamoDB, and they understand a whole bunch of different data formats, from super efficient ones like Parquet to your everyday CSV and JSON.
Now let's touch on a slightly more advanced topic that you might just see pop up on the exam. Glue crawlers are smart enough to handle modern data lake table formats like Apache Hive. This means they actually understand the difference between a copy on write table, where any update creates a brand new file, which is perfect for read-heavy analytics, and a merge on read table, which merges changes as you read the data, making it better for workloads with lots of writes. It's a really powerful feature to have automated.
All right, so we've used our crawlers to catalog all our data. We know what we have and where it is. Now it's time to actually do something with it. And that brings us to our third and final core piece, the ETL job. Think of this as your data transformation workshop. This is where you roll up your sleeves and get the data cleaned, enriched, and ready for its big debut.
So an ETL job is where all your business logic lives. It's the ETL in action. You're extracting data from a source, transforming it in some way, maybe joining it, filtering it, or doing some calculations, and then loading it into its new home, like a data warehouse or just another spot in your S3 data lake.
And the flexibility you have here is just awesome. For folks who prefer a low-code way of working, there's AWS Glue Studio, which is this great visual drag-and-drop tool.
But behind the scenes, Glue is generating a super optimized Python or Scala script that runs on Apache Spark or Ray. And if you're a developer who loves to code, you can just jump right into that script and customize it. Oh, and you've got to pay attention to job bookmarks. This is a total game changer and definitely something you'll want to know. It lets Glue remember what data it's already processed, so it only works on the new stuff. That's a huge win for efficiency and, of course, for your wallet.
So let's put this all together and see the whole workflow in action. It really makes everything click. Step 1, your crawler runs and discovers your data. Step 2, it automatically populates the data catalog with all that useful metadata. Step 3, you build your ETL job and it uses the catalog to understand what it's working with. And finally, step 4, you run the job, it transforms the data and loads it to its final destination. See? It's just this beautiful, seamless, automated pipeline.
Okay, now that we've seen how Glue works, let's talk about the why. Why is this such a favorite tool for solution architects? What are those big picture wins that make Glue a go-to service for so many projects? We started with this, and I'm bringing it up again because it is that important. Being serverless means you have zero infrastructure to manage. You're not worrying about patching servers, figuring out capacity, or scaling clusters up and down. AWS handles all that messy stuff for you, which just slashes your operational overhead. And right alongside serverless, you get this amazing pricing model. You are not paying for a cluster to sit there doing nothing. You are only, and I mean only, charged for the time your ETL job is actually running. No startup fees, no shutdown fees. For any kind of job that isn't running 24/7, this can save you a ton of money.
So how do they bill you? The unit is called a DPU, or a data processing unit. You can just think of a DPU as one worker with a fixed amount of CPU and memory. When you set up your job, you tell it how many DPUs you want to throw at it, and you get billed per DPU hour. But again, only while the job is actively running. This gives you this really nice, fine-grained control over both the performance and the cost of your job.
And last but not least, the tooling itself is a massive benefit. With AWS Glue Studio, you're making data integration accessible to a way bigger group of people, like data analysts who might not be hardcore coders. But at the same time, it gives data engineers who need to write really complex custom logic full code level access. It really is the best of both worlds.
All right, time for the rapid-fire recap. These are the absolute must-knows for your exam. 1. Glue is serverless. Say it with me, serverless. 2. The data catalog is your central Hive-compatible brain for metadata. 3. Crawlers are your automated detectives for discovering schemas. 4. ETL jobs are where the transformation happens, powered by Spark or Ray. And 5. You pay by the DPU hour with zero infrastructure to manage. You get those 5 points down, and you're going to be in fantastic shape. So, there you have it. We've gone from a messy data swamp to a clean, organized, queryable data lake. AWS Glue gives you that solid foundation. But the final question, and really the one that matters most for an architect, is this. Now that you've got that amazing foundation, what are you going to build on top of it? That's all for this explainer on AWS Glue. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck with your studies.